I don't know the number, but if I look at the reports, it's what, 1,500 ships, as you call the shadow fleet, the dark fleet. I make a distinction. There is a sanctioned fleet. I think it's about 1,000 ships, which are either sanctioned by US, Europe, or EU, which is, the rules are pretty clear on that. Now, the interesting story when it comes to sanctions ships is that it's not every country, accepts these sanctions, right? So, for example, China and India have been big importers of this oil. So, these ships can go into these regions, and they have been going. And the question is, and then there's a dark fleet, which is, to me, is a fleet that's really not sanctioned, but it's in the gray zone. What does it mean? For example, when we bought one of our Suezmaxes, the Scandinavian owner had a contract that says you cannot visit Russia, period, and which is fine. But now, when we came to the charterers, they said CPC can be done. It's not sanctioned. It's within Russia, but it's not Russian oil. And we are talking about Chevron, right? And I was like, whoa. So we went back to the owner and said, no, you just cannot visit Russia. So as a result, you lose that. So as a recycler, I have no problem buying vessels which are not sanctioned. Now, as a U.S. company, I'm a U.S. citizen, I cannot do sanctioned business. So that's a pretty clear line. And now the question is, what are you going to do with all these vessels? We have seen stories and accidents happen. My view is very simple. I think Europe, EU, and America should give license to scrap these vessels, because to have this unsafe vessel does not help anyone. To all the major ship owners sitting in this room, I'm sure that's the fear you have, right? The last thing you want to receive is a call to say, we had a tragedy and we have, which Frontline, I can say that because in the newspapers, Frontline had recently, right? And so I think that's very clear. The bureaucrats, the politicians have to address this issue. And the easiest way is to remove these fleets from the unsafe fleet and give licenses to recycle these ships. India is already doing it. Unfortunately, it is doing, in cloak and mirror way, meaning the transactions that take place are done in non-USD transactions. These are done in either rubles or Chinese renminbi and so forth. So it's happening, but it's happening in an underground manner, and which I don't like, because when you do this, you're not compliant. At least when you give the license, it's done properly. It's either through the Western systems, properly insured and so forth. I sit on a members committee of one of the P&I clubs, and these are discussions we have. How do you address this? So very clear view, the government should give licenses to at least get this fleet recycled. And I think that's also going to balance the modern tonnage, for the owners who have that.